Hello and welcome. This is David. Once again, thank you very much for your time. So let's get into this topic. And the topic here is the origins of the illusion of separation. Now, we have all heard, well, maybe not all of us, but if you've heard Christian teaching, for example, in the book of Genesis, it says that the makers or the maker, whichever, makers or maker, at the very beginning said, let us create man in our image and likeness. That's in the book of Genesis. Now you'll find it in very many other religions as well, and different faiths and everything. Now, let's have a look at what A Course in Miracles says about all this. A Course in Miracles says that a fundamental aspect of our Creator is to extend, or rather to create. So the Creator extended himself, herself, or itself. It's very difficult to describe the Creator because you cannot really personify. So even the word him, we're just going to use it because it's convenient, but there is really no word in English that it can properly describe. Alright, so the Creator extended himself to its creations and imbued in them the same loving will to extend and create. So you're made in the image and likeness of your Creator or your Maker. And in that sense, you also have the same creative ability. In fact, you have a higher creative ability than you can consciously imagine you do. We underestimate ourselves. We are way more powerful than we believe or think we are. So you have the ability and the will to extend and create. It's just in your nature. Okay? Right? So you're creative and powerfully so. And you too can extend or create like your Creator. The only real true difference is that your Creator created you and you cannot create your Creator. So in other words, your Creator is first cause. But in many ways, even though it might seem like you're a very small, insignificant being, but you're made in the image and likeness of your Creator. Now, we've already talked about extension, okay? Let's call extension creation. There's one other thing that we do that is similar to extension, but it's not, and that is projection, okay? And I think we've all heard of this many times, you know, like when somebody say, oh, you're projecting your anger out there. In other words, your anger is making me see an angry world and experience an angry life. You're projecting. Or, you know, there's so many times you've had this, you know, word used, especially in psychology and you know, those kind of areas. But this is the important difference to make right here as we're learning A Course in Miracles, especially at this time, is that it's important to start to recognize that quite often when we think we are creating or extending, what we're actually doing is projection. And there is a difference. Projection is not extension or creation. In fact, it is, you might want to use the word inappropriate. So now let's get into that. Now, the first thing that A Course in Miracles says is, you know, in this area is that you were created fully and perfectly. In other words, there is no imperfection in you. There is no emptiness in you. There is nothing that you lack. Yeah? But quite often we believe that there are some, you know, things that we lack, or, you know, some kind of emptiness exists in us or lack exists in us. And you know, once we believe this, and a lot of us believe this, at, you know, at some level or the other, we tend to try and fill that apparent lack or emptiness by projecting. Okay, you know what I mean? Like we all, for example, let's say take self-esteem. Let's take self-esteem as an example, and you know, this is just so we can grasp this lesson easily. When you look at self-esteem, if you say somebody has low self-esteem, you're sort of saying that they believe they are not worth it. In other words, just simply because they exist is not enough for them to be a worthwhile human being. And to cover up for this low self-esteem, they try all sorts of stuff. For example, they will try and puff up their ego. They're going to try and get a lot of things and the kind of clothes you wear. Otherwise, then if you're not wearing the right clothes, then you feel like you're useless. Those kind of things. So they project an image as something that doesn't really exist as a reality, to try and fill this apparent void that they feel. Okay, so instead of taking the truth that they are created perfectly and fully, they believe in a misperfection or an emptiness or something or a lack, and then they feel that lack with their own ideas instead of the truth. Okay, now this process involves the following steps. Excuse me. First, you believe that what the Creator created can be changed by your own mind. This is the first error. Remember, the very first sentence in A Course of Miracles is nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. Therefore, nothing real can be threatened. You cannot possibly threaten the original creation. Okay, you cannot. You don't have the capability. But then somehow you believe that you do, Yeah, and in the same way, you believe that what is perfect can be rendered imperfect or lacking. Third, you believe that you can distort the creations of the Creator, including yourself. Okay. Fourth, you believe that you can create yourself and that the direction of your own creation is up to you. Okay, 4 errors of thinking. Yeah. Now, it is worth repeating. You are carefully created fully and perfectly. There is no emptiness in you. Okay. And again, it's worth repeating. The inappropriate use of extension or projection occurs when you believe that some emptiness or lack exists in you and that you can feel it with your own ideas instead of truth. Alright? Now, these related distortions represent a picture of what actually occurred in the separation, or, as A Course in Miracles calls it, the detour into fear. Yeah? None of this existed before the separation, nor does it actually exist now. And this is a saving grace. It doesn't actually exist now. Projection is not reality. Just because, you see, we've already said at the beginning of A Course in Miracles and also throughout the daily exercises that just because you see the external world, you perceive it, does not mean it is reality. Projection is not reality. So all we're doing now is to see or to get a clearer idea of why is this projection even existing? How did we end up here? That's basically what we're learning now. Yeah. Everything the Creator created is like him or like her or like it. It really doesn't matter. We're just using words here. All his creation is loving and freely given in one continuous line in which all aspects are of the same order, and his creations have the same properties in reality. They're made in the image and likeness of the source. The source of all creation extends itself, and those extensions extend themselves in the same image and likeness of the source. Okay? Now, let's look at another story that is found in the book of Genesis. Once again, you'll find the same story in many other ancient religious texts. It's not just Christian, it appears in several others. Now, in the Garden of Eden, yeah, you have a story of Adam falling asleep and and so on and so forth. So the whole story of Adam and Eve, that's the Genesis story. Now, according to A Course of Miracles, the Garden of Eden is more like a parable. It's not like a reality exactly as it's written. It's more like a parable to explain something, like a metaphor, you could say. Now, the pre-separation condition is what is being referred to as the Garden of Eden. And that was a state of mind in which nothing was needed. Okay? All right, is that a little bit clear? Nothing was needed. It is actually a state of mind. Yeah, you do not have to continue to believe what is not true unless you choose to do so. Yeah, all that all that can literally disappear in the twinkling of an eye, because it is merely all that. Sorry, I'm reading from A Course in Miracles and I stressed the sentence wrong. So what they're saying here is that the garden of the pre-separation condition is reality. The Garden of Eden is the reality. The original condition is the reality. Then the belief in separation comes in, the belief or the idea that there's something lacking in you comes in, and in that instant, projection happens. Because remember, you have the creative power of your maker. Yet you cannot break reality. You cannot undo reality as it was created, which is perfect. But if you believe it is imperfect, then your creative power is going to do the next best thing, which is to make a projection, an illusion, since it cannot change the reality. Do you see where we're getting with to here? It takes a while to understand A Course in Miracles. It takes a few steps, but if you stick with it, you start to get it. So in the previous slides, we learned that whatever has been created by the Creator cannot be undone or made imperfect or changed. It is always going to be perfect. Yet, if you believe that you are imperfect in some way, at some level, all right, and I'm not talking about your life when you're born this time around, this is something that goes very deep. I'm sure you can appreciate that, okay? But anyways, as long as the being holds an idea that it is imperfect, yet it has the ability, the creative ability of its maker, yet it cannot undo what its maker has done, the only other option is to cause a projection. Okay? An illusionary world where there is need, that need exists. Yet what it's saying here is that need does not exist in reality. And then what it is saying here is that you don't have to continue to believe what is not true unless you choose to do so. The gate is as wide as the horizon. You can walk through it. No one is stopping you. Yet it is tricky. We have to accept that. It might be simple, but not easy. Yet the gate is open. Okay? So what A Course in Miracles is saying is that all of that illusion can literally disappear in the twinkling of an eye, because it is merely a misperception. It doesn't really exist. So it can disappear. As solid as it looks like, it can go. Yeah? It says, what is seen in dreams seems to be very real, even though it's not. And that is what A Course in Miracles is suggesting. Okay? Now, the biblical story of Adam and Eve says that a deep sleep fell upon Adam. If you read Genesis, it says that Adam fell into a deep sleep. And nowhere is there a reference to his waking up. Remember, that story is like a metaphor to explain something. It's not meant to be taken totally literally. Okay? Now, A Course in Miracles goes on to say that the world has not yet experienced any comprehensive reawakening or rebirth. Since that deep sleep mentioned in Genesis, no reawakening or rebirth has been experienced in the world that we live in today. Such a rebirth is impossible, or a reawakening is impossible, as long as you continue to project or miscreate. So as long as you continue to project or miscreate, you can forget about a rebirth or reawakening. It still remains within you, however, to extend as the Creator extended His Spirit to you. In reality, this is your only choice, because your free will was given you for your joy in creating the perfect. Okay? All fear is ultimately reducible to the basic misperception that you have the ability to usurp the power of the Creator, to deny your Creator. All fear, okay, can be reduced or taken down, or maybe you could even say its origin can be traced to the basic misperception that you have the ability to usurp the power of your Creator, or to deny your Creator. This misperception is the mother of all fear. Yeah? But of course, You can neither, you neither can nor have the ability to do this. You can never usurp the power of your Creator. You can never deny your Creator. Okay? Yet we believe that we can. Here is the real basis for your escape from fear. The escape is brought about by your acceptance of the atonement or the atonement, which enables you to realize that your errors never really occurred. When you experience the atonement, you will realize that your errors never really occurred. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't that just make you feel light? Yeah? So, carrying on. Only after the deep sleep fell upon Adam, we're back into the whole Genesis story now. Only after the deep sleep fell upon Adam could he experience nightmares. There were not nightmares before his deep sleep. Remember, we just said what? All your errors never really occurred. And Genesis is talking about what? Adam falling into a deep sleep. And now we are talking about nightmares were never there before the deep sleep. If a light is suddenly turned on while someone is dreaming a fearful dream, he may initially interpret the light itself as part of his dream and be afraid of it. However, when he awakens and gains his bearings, the light is correctly perceived as the release from the dream, which is then no longer accorded reality. Look, in other words, you fall asleep, you're in a nightmare, you're having a nightmare. Somebody turns on the light while you're having the nightmare. In your nightmare, the bright light could actually scare you. It could look like maybe, let's say, a car coming at you in the middle of the night, with the headbeams or, the lights fully on. But within a few seconds, you'll wake up and then you realize, oh, the light is part of the release from the nightmare. And then suddenly the nightmare is no longer given the sense of or feeling of reality, the belief in it, as you had when you're actually having the dream. That's what they're saying here. This release does not depend on illusions at all. The release does not depend on illusions. In other words, as long as you're in this world, in the world of separation and illusion, your release will not depend on the illusion. You see? The knowledge that illuminates not only sets you free, but also shows you clearly that you are already free. The miracle doesn't see the illusion. The miracle doesn't see the illusion. Whatever lies you may believe are of no concern to the miracle, which can heal any of them with equal ease. Remember, miracles have no sense of this is harder, this is easier. Okay, they're all the same. It makes no distinctions among misperceptions. Its sole concern is to distinguish between truth on the one hand and error on the other. Some miracles may seem to be of greater magnitude than others, but remember the first principle of this course. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. In reality, you're perfectly unaffected by all expressions of lack of love. Okay? This can be from yourself and others, from yourself to others, or from others to you. It doesn't really matter. Peace is an attribute in you. In other words, peace, like when you say an attribute, for example, what is an attribute of water? You can say wetness, being wet. Wet is one of the attributes of water. Peace is an attribute in you. It's not contained inside you, it is you. You are peace. Yeah? You're not made of, you are peace. That is your natural state. So you cannot find peace outside. Illness is some form of external searching. Health is inner peace. It enables you to remain unshaken by lack of love from without and capable, through your acceptance of miracles, of correcting the conditions proceeding from lack of love in others. In other words, once you accept who you really are, yeah, you will suddenly find yourself in total inner peace. And that will enable you to remain unshaken by any experiences of a lack of love from anyone or anywhere. It won't shake you, it won't touch you. Yeah? Okay? And then you will be capable, through your acceptance of miracles, of correcting the conditions proceeding from lack of love in others. Do you see how powerful this gets. So that's the end of this particular topic in this chapter. So we're now going to move on to the next topic in the chapter. And as always, I really do truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time and for being with us. Thank you so much.